adjustments.
Sell white rug.
And prepare the kids for the reality of owning a pet.
Buy biodegradable poop bags from under £6.
Everyone instantly fell in love with Little Rocky. Unfortunately, Little Rocky fell in love with a cushion. Buy, sell, eBay.
Delivery costs may apply.
You love TuneIn for live breaking news from CNN, MSNBC, Fox, CNBC, and more. But when you can't catch your favorite show as it airs, it might just be a click away as a podcast. Search your favorite news station to explore all the on-demand news shows on TuneIn.
Today at Bloomberg.com, on the Bloomberg Business app, and on Quick Take by Bloomberg. This is Bloomberg Radio. Markets, headlines, and breaking news 24 hours a day at Bloomberg.com, the Bloomberg Business app, and on Quick Take by Bloomberg. This is a Bloomberg Business Flash.
From Bloomberg World Headquarters, I'm Charlie Pellet. First three-day rally since February for the S&P 500 index. Stocks surge into the close. Jane Katsourelis, Director of Facilities and Building Operations, all alone there, ringing the closing bell at the New York Stock Exchange as we wrap up trading. Stocks surged as investors speculated that the $2 trillion rescue package poised to pass Congress will blunt the pandemic's toll on the economy. S&P up 151 points, higher by 6.13%. The Dow jumped 1,322 points, rallying into the closing bell there, up by 6.2%. NASDAQ higher by 413 points, a gain there of 5.6%. Peter Cheer is head of macro strategy at Academy Securities, and right here on Bloomberg Business Week, he talked about all that's been coming out of Washington.
The Fed basically went all in over the weekend and on Monday morning, and I think the entire market now believes that the Fed will be responsive.
You said wrap it up?
I think when we look, though, at what is going through as the CARES Act, it's a little bit light in a few places, and I think ultimately, as soon as that gets passed, they're going to have to start talking about more CARES or a CARES Act 2 to fulfill some of the needs, and I think that's what the market's going to wind up needing.
The 10-year up 14.30 seconds with a yield of 0.82%. Gold up 1%, 16.33 the ounce. West Texas Intermediate crude plunging today by 5.5%, 23.17 a barrel. Boeing shares rallying again today. Boeing surging another 13.6%. Airline stocks also flying high today. Among them, we had Delta Airlines up today by 1.9%. American Airlines Group up 1.8%. Southwest up by 4.6%. And JetBlue fell today. JetBlue actually retreated by 3.6%. So again, recapping here, big day for stocks. 3 in a row now for the S&P 500 index, up 151 points. That was a gain for the S&P 500 index of 6.1%. The Dow up 6.2%. NASDAQ up 5.6%. I'm Charlie Pellet. That's a Bloomberg Business Flash.
Oh, yeah, what I say.
Your next move will be your last.
Nobody move a muscle.
Damn, Sippy, you got to move.
And I'm moving from town to town.
Time is money. Let's go. Come on, move it.
Shake it up. Shake it up.
Bloomberg Business Week, Movers and Shakers, with Carol Masser and Jason Kelly on Bloomberg Radio.
It is time to take a look at some of the movers and shakers on this Thursday afternoon. Broad-based rallies, so 470 names in the S&P 500 higher today, 35 lower. And Jason, I'm just looking at the major industry groups because Charlie talked about, as it was in today's session, broad-based in terms of the buying. Utilities at the top of your pack up 8.4%. Real estate was up 7.8%. Healthcare up almost 7%. Financials and industrials up about 6.5%. Bottom of the pack, consumer staples, materials, and consumer discretionary, but that group's still up 4.3%. Yeah. So definitely a risk-on trade. Investors back in. Certainly a lot of optimism. Vince Signorella was messaging me earlier and just, reminding me that it's going to be an end-of-the-month trade, some rebalancing. So we'll have to see how that might impact, especially as we go into tomorrow's session.
Yeah,
next week.
So your number one gainer in the S&P, this is one of our favorite names because, man, it moves. Coty, and it looks like it's based on the fact that they're going to make a hand sanitizer, or at least partially based on that. That's the only headline I can see. They're going to distribute it free to healthcare workers. Presumably, they're also going to sell it, and I would imagine that may be part of the enthusiasm. It is such a volatile stock, though.
Yeah, exactly.
It's that Kardashian connection, I think.
Well, yeah, maybe that is, right? Yeah, it rose, 24% here. We have seen some big moves, the most in about 7 years. And what's interesting is S&P cut the company's credit rating.
Yeah.
I did see that story as well. So, I don't know. I think it's just one that swings a lot. I just want to take a look at what it's doing for the year, because you're right. It's still down about 18% this year. But, man, the swings on this one. Number one gainer in the S&P 500. Let's talk about some of the losers, because Norwegian Cruise, right, still down. Your number two decliner in the S&P 500, down 7.4%. You had Macy's, your number one decliner in the S&P 500. That stock was down 10% today, and you did see S&P downgrading Macy's. So you're seeing a lot of the credit rating agencies come in and do some analysis or threaten to change their position. So they are lowering S&P, lowering all of their ratings on Macy's. So, yeah.
I just want to read you some headlines that I just saw come across the Bloomberg related to GM. GM asking employees to defer 20% of their pay until the fourth quarter of this year or the first quarter of next. 6,500 salaried employees to be furloughed and get 75% of pay. GM announcing these moves in a memo described to Bloomberg. So this is a scoop from our very good auto team, delaying certain product programs to conserve cash. So we are seeing some of these major companies make moves. The stock down about 0.7% in the after hours.
This is a credit story, right? You know that Moody's has placed General Motors financial company ratings, right? They are on, they're considering either a downgrade, right? Or do they already, yeah.
I believe GM is being considered.
Ford was already down.
Yeah, Ford was.
So I just wanted to check. So they're on watch. So yeah, this is what they're doing. They're taking moves to shore up their cash position. So that is fascinating.
Yeah. All right. So let's take a look at the VIX volatility down about 4.5% today. So we're now down in the 60s, having been up in the 80s last week. So it's closing at 61.05. This is Bloomberg.
All right, Dave, you're up.
Hi, my name is Dave.
Wilson, where are you? Wilson!
Just what do you think you're doing, Dave?
We're going for a price on Wilson.
Open up the door, it's Dave.
Who?
Dave.
Hey, Mr. Wilson. Dave Wilson back with us, coming at us from New Jersey. What's your stock?
Carvana, Jason. It's a company that refers to itself as a new way to buy a car. Their used car dealerships are circular towers described as vending machines. Customers can buy and finance purchases entirely online, and the company now offers what they call touchless delivery, which keeps buyers away from delivery staff. Carvana was founded in 2012 and went public in 2017. The ticker is CVNA. While the company isn't yet profitable, its shares rose more than sevenfold from their initial price. They peaked at a record just 5 weeks ago. Then came the coronavirus outbreak, which battered the auto industry and the company's stock. Carvana plunged as much as 81% in a month and ended last week at a 21-month low. This week began with a reversal. Carvana more than doubled in 3 days as Ally Financial agreed to double a loan purchase program to $2 billion. Even so, Bloomberg Intelligence put out a report today that said Carvana, quote, requires significant capital for expansion and building inventory, which may be hard to come by. And in response, the shares retreated. They fell today by 9.5%.
Interesting. Yeah, I've seen their ads mostly during like football games and stuff, but I can understand.
I've seen them too. That's how I knew how to describe the company.
There you go. All right. Dave Wilson, we appreciate it very much. You're a good man for bringing us your stock in chart, and we'll get those and your market insights on the show tomorrow, Carol.
That GM thing is really fascinating.
Yeah, wow, I really got you on that one, didn't I?
Well, I just, I was thinking about this is a company move. I gotta love Mary Barra because, man, she moves into action. But the company, you're right, the ratings are at, Moody's is threatening to cut them to junk. Dave Wilson talked about it earlier in his chart of the day. But so the company, taking the situation into their hands and probably saying to their workers, listen, we're all in this together. And I'm going to, let's figure out some ways for each of you to take some of your pay and let's preserve our cash position so that we don't have to essentially lay you off, right? Which makes the situation even more dire. So, I think it's really interesting. And I think this is the kind of actions we need to do where companies quickly, take care of their workers, figure it out, do it quickly so that they're not laying off everybody.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Completely.
Yeah, these are the big questions. All right. You're listening to Bloomberg Bizweek. Let's head out to San Francisco now. Ed Baxter is there. He's got your world national headlines. Hey there, Ed.
All right. Thank you very much, Jason. The stimulus package looks set for vote tomorrow. In an exclusive Bloomberg interview, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi says it does what it needs to do.
Changes from corporate trickle down to worker bubble up. And in that way, it said that we do recognize that certain industries are going to need federal funds, and we want those industries to know that there are conditions to make sure that workers are protected, that they stay employed, that they're on the payroll.
And she told Balance of Power's David Weston that the vote should be complete by noon tomorrow. Now, Bloomberg White House correspondent Josh Wingrove says that's what it looks like.
I don't think we're going to see huge issues on it. We have not, for instance, seen a lot of pushback from House Republicans over it. Of course, this thing passed by 96 to nothing.
And he says the next question is how to enact it. And a stark statistic day to day, more than 200 deaths recorded in the U.S., a new high for fatalities recorded in a single day. And New York Governor Andrew Cuomo says that he definitely has a plan. I have lost the screen here, so I'm going to put him up right now. Here we go.
You know the places in this nation that have the most intense problems. Address the places that need the help.
And the president has told governors in a letter that he may rank counties that need help in an effort to open the economy. Italy has another uptick in cases. China's closed its borders to most foreigners. EU is debating its next move. The U.S. is going to indict Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro, Attorney General William Barr.
We estimate that somewhere between 200 and 250 metric tons of cocaine are shipped out of Venezuela by these routes.
And he says 3 million.
They don't just talk to the most important people.
Can you give us your broad sense of the main driver behind the latest weakness?
They talk with the most interesting people.
When you talk to your clients, are they taking this seriously?
Lisa Abramowitz.
What's going to be the main driver of growth?
Paul Sweeney.
What did you take away from those Amazon numbers last night?
Bloomberg Markets.
Is it as ominous this time around?
Weekday mornings at 10 Eastern on Bloomberg Radio, the Bloomberg Business app, and BloombergRadio.com. Bloomberg, the world is listening.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
In-depth analysis, concise reporting, need-to-know global business news. Around the world and across the markets, Bloomberg connects the dots for decision makers. Stay on top of today's headlines. Follow big breakthroughs in tech. Understand the latest political issues. See how the world's wealthiest are spending their money. Track what's happening in the markets, and much more. Subscribe today to Bloomberg, the global standard for business reporting. Get it all at Bloomberg.com/subscriptions.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting a Teenager. Learning the lingo.
GOAT, G-O-A-T, acronym, stands for Greatest of All Time. As in, spaghetti sandwiches for dinner? They're my fave. Dad, you're the GOAT.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same. Visit adoptuskids.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
The The
happy family of 3 were about to welcome a new member. That's right, they were finally getting a dog.
Buy on eBay, dog bed from £12.
First, they had to make a few adjustments.
Sell white rug.
And prepare the kids for the reality of owning a pet.
Buy biodegradable poop bags from under £6.
Everyone instantly fell in love with Little Rocky. Unfortunately, Little Rocky fell in love with a cushion. Buy, sell, eBay.
Delivery costs may apply.
Yo, look at this, look at this. What do you reckon? Should I swipe right? Yo, check this out, check this out, check this out. Yo, bro. Hey, look at this. Yo, look at this, look at this. Should I swipe right? Hey, look at this, look at this. Yo, bro, check this out, check this out. Should I swipe right? Check this out. Look, I'm vomiting rainbows.
Oi, get your phone out my face. I'm trying to drive.
Sorry, mate. Your mate's more likely to crash with passengers in the car. So don't drive him to distraction. Let a mate concentrate.
It's Tune In Sports on this day. March 26, 1979, Michigan State beats Indiana State for the national championship, featuring the first of many Magic Johnson and Larry Bird legendary matchups.
Michigan State University, national champions, 1979. But only one can make it. And Larry Bird, a great
To listen to conversations breaking down the moments just like this, click on Sports to be part of the discussion on Tune In.
This week on the New Yorker Radio Hour, we're taking a deep look at the way the coronavirus pandemic has rippled through every aspect of our lives, seemingly in a matter of days and weeks. Whether you're working from home, not working, or have to go to work, COVID-19 has changed everything. Listen to this episode of the New Yorker Radio Hour on TuneIn today.
In case you didn't know, TuneIn lets you listen to the same radio stations you pick up on your home or car radio, except you can hear them from anywhere. If you want to find a station from somewhere else in the world, navigate to the By Location section under Browse. Keep exploring with TuneIn.
You love TuneIn for live breaking news from CNN, MSNBC, Fox, CNBC, and more. But when you can't catch your favorite show as it airs, it might just be a click away as a podcast. Search your favorite news station to explore all the on-demand news shows on TuneIn.
Full thing, but it was an academic thing. I came out in the 11th grade. Nobody was embracing you. The kids were cruel. It was very difficult to be gay. Even though all these years have passed, I still had that longing to have my diploma. The hard part was determining that I was going to do it, but I definitely didn't do it alone.
At age 30, with the help of her mentor, Carissa finished her high school diploma.
I have a mentor, Maria. She convinced me to continue my education and to finish what I started to get my diploma. Just never judges. She's a true role model. If you're even considering getting your high school diploma, go get it. You can do it.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Are you interested in a challenging and exciting career? One where you can be part of solving complex challenges across industries and geographies? Bloomberg's ever-expanding technology, data, news, and media services foster innovation, empower clients, and offer nearly limitless opportunities for career growth. Visit Bloomberg.com/careers today to view our current job opportunities. Bloomberg LP is an equal opportunity employer. The address once again is Bloomberg.com/careers.
Asset managers who seize change to launch new strategies, add distribution channels, or exploit new technology to re-engineer the investor experience are often rewarded. However, in an industry paralyzed with complexity, few act with agility or decisively. Few run their business strategically. Yet, the most competitive managers in the market know, with the right partner and a flexible operating platform, you can. Go boldly toward change with SEI Investment Manager Services.
Determination and operational strength are both essential factors for growth in asset management. I'm Steve Meyer, President, Head of SEI's Investment Manager Services Division. We know that disruptive forces create opportunities around the world. If you see potential in change, our industry specialists will maximize SEI's integrated platform of data and risk management, global investment operations, compliance support, and investor services to position your asset management business for success. Come grow with us.
With SEI Investment Manager Services, you lead the charge in a competitive marketplace. Learn more at seic.com/seizechange.
Markets, headlines, and breaking news 24 hours a day at Bloomberg.com, the Bloomberg Business app, and on Quick Take by Bloomberg. This is a Bloomberg Business Flash.
From Bloomberg World Headquarters, I'm Charlie Pellet. Stocks rallied again, surging right into that closing bell as investors speculated that the $2 trillion rescue package poised to pass Congress will blunt the coronavirus pandemic's toll on the economy. Treasuries held gains, the dollar fell, the Dow surged 1,351 points, up 6.4%. S&P up 154 points. That was a gain of 6.2%. NASDAQ higher by 413 points. For NASDAQ, that was a gain of just about 5.6%. The 10-year up 12/30 seconds with a yield of 0.82%. West Texas Intermediate crude fell today, down 5.7%, $23.09 a barrel. Gold up by 1%, $16.32 the ounce. This headline from the Bloomberg Professional Service: the United States has been affirmed by Fitch with a stable outlook, and California is reporting that it now has 3,006 confirmed COVID-19 cases. California's health department says 65 people have died. I'm Charlie Pellet. That is a Bloomberg Business Flash.
Charlie, thank you so much. You are listening to Bloomberg Business Week. Jason Kelly, Carol Masser here in the tri-state area. And we've been spending a lot of time, I have to say, talking to people in Minnesota. There's some sort of trend that we have going on, Carol, over the course of this week. But now, with all respect to the other people we've talked to in Minnesota, let's talk to my favorite person in Minnesota. She is the president of the University of Minnesota System, Joan Gable. Full disclosure, a very good friend of mine. So happy to have her back on the program. Madam President, how are you?
I'm just fine, and I just want to say to all of your listeners, the Twin Cities are the best kept secret. As soon as we can get back on airplanes, come see us.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you and I have talked about the fact, and this is one of the reasons I was excited to have you on. I mean, you are smack in the middle of a really important business center. You know, the Fortune 500 companies there that you have are Legion. The cover story, as you probably know, this week in Bloomberg Business Week is about 3M. You have Best Buy. You have a number of others. We're going to talk about that in a second, but let's talk about your school for a minute. You guys made the decision, like many did, to go online learning. Tell us about that, about making that decision and what was entailed, because this is a massive system you oversee.
It's massive. We have 67,000 students across 5 campuses. And we also take very seriously the way universities work, how we sit relative to each other. So for us, we do a lot of conversing with other Big Ten schools and try to emulate a best practice. And then the craziest thing about all of this is, of course, there's no best practice for any of the decisions that we've been making. So, just 2 weeks ago, we were on retreat with our Board of Regents for our spring meetings in Duluth, Minnesota, which is about 2.5 hours north of Minneapolis, St. Paul. And that was the moment when we really started to think about level 3 countries. Remember when that was what we were talking about? Was, we need to get everybody out of the level 3 countries. And in those 2 weeks, give or take, since, we've pulled everyone back from everywhere. We've canceled all travel. Every one of our classes that can be online is online. Every class that can't has some sort of alternative assessment. We have removed the obligation for grading and gone to an opt-in pass-fail across every course and every level where accreditors would allow it. We've asked students who feel safer away from campus to stay away, but we've allowed students who feel safer on campus, and that's across all the campuses, to stay. We've shifted all of our research labs to COVID-19 research that can shift. And our governor yesterday declared what he's calling a stay-at-home Minnesota order, which is like a shelter-in-place without assuming good intent, shelter-in-place. And we're complying with that. So we have everyone working from home except essential on-site employees, and that was in 2 weeks. And, universities are methodical, thoughtful entities. We don't move fast generally, and most of the time you don't want us to. You want us to be thoughtful and explore the issue and look at both sides, and generally we do. We think we do it better than but not lately. We've been moving really fast lately.
Yeah, it's remarkable, and it's funny. You know, Jason and I are not funny that we've been talking about, you know, with our folks down in Washington, just about these stimulus programs working through. And I understand you've got to be very careful in terms of what you're doing, but you feel like it's just taking longer than necessary. Having said that, the president, you know, President Gabel is talking about, you know, thinking about reopening the U.S. economy, yet we've got these situations where, you know, there are parts of the country that know that it really hasn't even hit them yet and expect it to. How do you make sense? You've got a plan for this large institution to make sure you're ready to reopen when the world reopens again. How do you make sense? Who do you listen to? How do you make sense out of kind of what the strategy is to do going forward?
Well, the number of inputs that we had 2 weeks ago were sort of too many and chaotic. And in just the same short period of time, things have become a lot leaner and clearer, even though there are still lots of areas of uncertainty. So we work very closely with the Department of Health here in Minnesota. Of course, we're a research institution very heavily emphasizing the health sciences. So we have our own subject matter experts on our faculty and in our hospitals. We work with the CDC, and we work across all of the other universities and research institutions. And so our governor yesterday issued the stay-at-home order that I described a moment ago with the intent of delaying the peak of the curve so that our healthcare providers could ready themselves. So it's a little late to fully flatten the curve. I think we're starting to see that nationwide. But it is not too late to delay so that we can build up capacity, which is what we've been focused on, both with the hospital partners, university hospital partners, and across the state. And so that's who we're primarily working with. And then, of course, we follow the law. I mean, if we were ordered to bring students back, we would, but we would rather wait until we watch the epidemiological flow that we've been able to see in other cities. We know it's coming, but we would like it to hit us later so that we can get readier.
Right. All right. So, Joan Gabel, stick with us. We're going to continue our conversation in just a few minutes. And Carol, she hit on some really interesting points. I mean, first of all, having the expertise there is a big thing. And University of Minnesota, we should point out, has been doing some amazing research around this. But also this notion of, you know, the urban, the rural, all the different constituencies, and college campuses are natural places where there's not a lot of social distance, as we know.
And I love what you said about the information flow becoming much more organized now versus what it was maybe a couple of weeks ago. All right, we're going to continue our conversation in just a moment with President Joan Gabel, University of Minnesota, on the phone from Minneapolis. You are listening to Bloomberg Business Week. Carol Masser along with Jason Kelly, and this is Bloomberg Radio.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. The report on first-time unemployment claims was dire, up 3.28 million last week, but the stock averages gained more than 5.5 to 6.33%. The Dow up 1,352 points, the Nasdaq 413, the S&P 155. Investors are waiting for the government to come to the rescue with a $2 trillion package of aid for businesses and individuals. The Charles Schwab money manager says if things work as planned, that will help stop the layoffs and might allow businesses to call people back to work. Citibank and Morgan Stanley say their workers don't have to worry about their jobs this year. Morgan Stanley says there will be no job cuts in 2020. Citigroup will suspend plans to cut jobs. The United Auto Workers Union isn't happy with plans both from Ford and Fiat Chrysler to restart production at U.S. plants next month. Fiat Chrysler says it's subject to state and local lockdowns. 2 more UAW members died of coronavirus. I'm Joan Doniger, Bloomberg Radio.
When you went car shopping, you meant business. You ace vehicle history searches and test drives. You out-salesman to the salesman. Now you've got your wheels. If you manage that, you can get your retirement plan on track. Visiting aceyourretirement.org can help. With 401k tips and smart saving strategies, you'll have the info you need to get more for your future. Go to aceyourretirement.org, because when it comes to speeding past financial challenges, you're an ace. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Index In-depth analysis, concise reporting, need-to-know global business news. Around the world and across the markets, Bloomberg connects the dots for decision makers. Stay on top of today's headlines. Follow big breakthroughs in tech. Understand the latest political issues. See how the world's wealthiest are spending their money. Track what's happening in the markets, and much more. Subscribe today to Bloomberg, the global standard for business reporting. Get it all at Bloomberg.com/subscriptions.
This is a vital update about coronavirus. To help save lives, stay at home. Anyone can spread coronavirus. Only leave your home for the following reasons: to shop for basic necessities, to pick up medicine, to travel to work if you absolutely cannot work from home, to provide care to those who need it, or to exercise. Always stay 2 meters apart. Do not meet others outside your household, even friends and family. Stay home. Protect the NHS. Save lives.
You love TuneIn for live breaking news from CNN, MSNBC, Fox, CNBC, and more. But when you can't catch your favorite show as it airs, it might just be a click away as a podcast. Search your favorite news station to explore all the on-demand news shows on TuneIn.
Want to know a quick, easy way to see if your favorite podcasts have a new episode available? Just go to the home screen on your TuneIn app and see the latest editions under the Your New Episode section. Happy listening.
This week on the New Yorker Radio Hour, we're taking a deep look at the way the coronavirus pandemic has rippled through every aspect of our lives, seemingly in a matter of days and weeks. Whether you're working from home, not working, or have to go to work, COVID-19 has changed everything. Listen to this episode of the New Yorker Radio Hour on TuneIn today.
It's TuneIn Sports on this day. March 26, 1979, Michigan State beats Indiana State for the national championship, featuring the first of many Magic Johnson and Larry Bird legendary matches.
And all over, Michigan State University, national champions, 1979. But only one can make it. And Larry Bird, a great
To listen to the conversations breaking down the moments just like this, click on Sports to be part of the discussion on TuneIn.
Is delivering the best client experience a top priority at BNY Mellon's Pershing? Michelle Feinstein, Director of Client Engagement, explains.
Today's investors want a financial relationship that's on demand, customized, and leverages the latest digital technology. At BNY Mellon's Pershing, helping advisory firms and broker-dealers create great experiences for their clients is our priority. Through our integrated wealth experience, we give you a high-touch service, flexible technology choices, and expert insights, so you can deliver a highly personalized experience to your clients at every step, from onboarding to wealth planning, to performance analysis and more. And because we're part of BNY Mellon, you'll benefit from more than 230 years of strength and stability. At Pershing, we're personally invested in your success.
Visit Pershing.com to learn more about Pershing's integrated wealth experience. Pershing LLC and Pershing Advisor Solutions LLC are both members of FINRA and SIPC.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Bloomberg Daybreak Asia.
Are you seeing a lot more buying power on the part of younger people in China?
Financial news made in Asia for use everywhere.
It is a bit of a waiting game.
Tonight at 6 Eastern on Bloomberg Radio. Bloomberg, the world is listening. Broadcasting live to New York, Bloomberg 1130. To Washington, D.C., Bloomberg 99.1. To Boston, Bloomberg 106.1. To San Francisco, Bloomberg 960. To the country, Sirius XM Channel 119. And around the globe, the Bloomberg Business app and BloombergRadio.com. This is Bloomberg Business Week.
All right, coming up, we're going to continue our conversation with Joan Gable. She's the president of the University of Minnesota. First, let's get a check on those headlines after the close. Hey, Charlie.
Well, hello there, Jason Kelly, and here's what's going going on. This headline from the Bloomberg Professional Service: U.S. government money market funds see a record $345 billion inflow. This according to ICI. Big move for U.S. stocks today, with the Dow, the S&P, and NASDAQ all rallying again as investors speculate that the $2 trillion rescue package poised to pass Congress will blunt the coronavirus pandemic's toll on the economy. S&P 500 index rallied right into the close. In fact, closing near session highs. It posted its first three-day rally since February. The Dow saw its biggest three-day gain since 1931 and is now 21% above its March 23rd trough, lifted by another big advance in Boeing. Boeing shares surging today as well, up by 13.7%. Here's where we finished. The S&P up 154 points, up 6.2%. The Dow up 1,351 points, up 6.4%. NASDAQ up 413. That was a gain of 5.6%. 10-year up 9/32 with a yield of 0.83%. Gold up 0.8%, 16.29 the ounce. Crude oil dropping 5.8% today, down $1.43 a barrel, 23.06 on West Texas Intermediate crude. Recapping, S&P up 154. That was a gain of 6.2%. I'm Charlie Pellet. That is a Bloomberg Business Flash.
All right, Charlie, thank you so much. Let's get back to our conversation with Joan Gable. She's the president of the University of Minnesota, joining us on the phone from Minneapolis. So, Joan, help us understand what you've learned so far about this remote world with students and faculty and, a place, as we were alluding to, that sort of thrives on social collaboration now being virtual.
Yeah, so I've learned a few things. I would say a few things are affirmed that I already knew or suspected, and I'm so incredibly delighted to see bloom, that there are good things blooming in the midst of all of this too, which is that people who want to learn, what we have in great numbers on university campuses are curious people who are either trying to learn in order to graduate and start the next chapter of their life, or they're deep dive scholars who have devoted their life to a certain type of expertise, and they are figuring it out. They're more interested in continuing to advance that curiosity than they are in letting what's happening right now ruin it. So we would all prefer to be together. We collaborate better with proximity. We learn better with proximity. This is not ideal, but it's not ruining either. And so we're digging deep and making it all work.
Well, and what's interesting, Joan, is I think what we're trying to figure out, too, is how much of this, whether it's in academia, whether it's in the business world, how much of what we're doing right now will end up staying with us. We've talked about this a lot when it comes to telehealth and telemedicine, that, folks in the medicine industry or medical industry finally think that this might be the thing that gets more people to start using that type of system. But I'm curious, from your perspective, how do you see it?
It's a little early to say, and of course this would all be in the world according to me, but I think that there are some, to take that.
That's a great world. It's a great world, let's be honest.
Thanks, I kind of like it. I do think that our reliance on certain things, or our assumption that certain things have to be a certain way, obviously a lot of that has been taken apart and put back together. There was no possible way we could do pass-fail. Our creditors would never let us, and here we are. And it just opens you up to this idea that there might be different ways to do all kinds of things. And I would challenge all of us, not just higher education, to not just assume that it means we would keep doing what we're doing now. I do expect we would have a wider portfolio of online, or maybe a larger number of people who would see that you can have a very effective academic experience online, or who would communicate using Zoom, our new best friend, to do research teams or meetings, or to be more flexible about letting employees work from home. All of that's probably true, but there are probably all kinds of other things that we're thinking about, what this means in terms of our downtime, what this means in terms of our own fitness and how people are embracing that, and also a renewed appreciation for when we can be together, because human society has been through things like this before any of our time, but it's not like that stopped us from reconvening. We want to be together, and I think maybe we'll appreciate each other a little more. That might be a little my world has a lot of Pollyanna in it, but I like that too.
Yeah, we like it too. Well, Jode, I'm going to ask you the parochial question, I'm guessing, or the personal question that I'm guessing you anticipated, which is Carol and I both have high school juniors. You have a high school senior, I know. What does this do for them in terms of the process of going to college, getting into college, and selecting a college?
Yeah, so I think the first thing we should remember is that this is probably more stressful for them than we realize. So this group of kids was born, my son who's a senior, he was about to arrive as 9/11 happened, and he's coming of age in this, and they had the recession in between. So that's this generation, and we think about, they're young and they're perfect and they're great looking and they're fit and they have the world ahead of them, does not mean that they're not feeling a lot of the pressure and uncertainty. So I think the first thing is we need to give them a lot of grace and understanding if this is hitting them harder. It might be hard for some of us to appreciate how hard it's hitting them. So I would start with that. But I think they've been very good at, even if as surly teenagers it did not appear so, at doing what we've expected of them, of being really good athletes and really amazing musicians and doing a lot of service and working hard because there was this thing they were pursuing that looked a very certain way. And here they are now with taking their classes in ways that may make them concerned about their ability to perform well, or their AP exams occurring in different ways for the students who are taking them. They can't do campus tours. This is peak time of year for that. We're doing all of that virtually. It's not the same. They can't compete in their sports and then have that be taken into consideration. Those students who play spring sports, that's all thrown into a strange mix, and even the ones who play fall sports. So everything that we told them was the checklist for them to fulfill is thrown up in the air. And what I would say collectively, and I'm saying this as much to myself as a parent as I am to prospective students nationwide, is everyone's in the exact same boat. The reality is we're all going to have to look at your children's applicant pool with all of this in mind.
Yeah.
We're still going to want them on our campuses. So
yeah, exactly.
Something that would just sting everyone's going through it.
That's a good thing to hear. Yeah,
it's a great note to end on. We wish we had more time. As always, Joan Gable, you're the best. University of Minnesota president, joining us on the phone from Minneapolis. Some really good words about giving each other a little bit of grace. I think we can use that in all aspects of our lives. Let's get over to San Francisco. Ed Baxter is there with world and national headlines.
Yeah, Jason, thank you. House has a stimulus bill, is trying to figure out logistics of the vote now. Members are separating in place, but Speaker Nancy Pelosi, in an exclusive interview with Bloomberg's David Weston, says the important changes have already been made.
Many of these changes that changed it from trickle down to bubble up took a matter of 48 or so hours. But that would not be called a delay. That would be called an improvement.
So she says by noon tomorrow is a plan. She's getting the money out, and helping the Small Business Administration is the next key. There are some stark statistics in human life toll. Day to day, the U.S., more than 200 deaths. It has infectious disease specialist Dr. Celine Gounder saying even that number is not the top of the curve.
It's much, much too early. We're still in the exponential phase of growth of this, both in terms of cases and deaths.
Now, that number is a one-day high for this infection at any point. And New York Governor Cuomo tries to put all of it into perspective.
What we're looking for is not a reduction in the number of cases. We're looking for a reduction in the rate of the increase in the number of cases.
Now, he also says that some patients are staying on ventilators as long as 30 days, which is an added problem. Says that they're not there yet. Ask the federal government to get money to the state as soon as possible. Death toll in France near 1,700. WHO director says millions could die without aggressive action. He says now is not the time to back down in separation or medically. In San Francisco, I'm Ed Baxter. This is Bloomberg Radio.
Message and data rates may apply. T&C and privacy terms can be found at babbel.com/terms. Please don't text and drive.
Have you wanted to speak a new language, but you thought it'd be too hard or take too much time? Then try Babbel for free by texting EXPLORE to 64,000. In just 15 minutes a day, you'll be on your way to speaking a new language in just a few weeks. And right now, you can try Babbel for free. Babbel starts out teaching you words and phrases by matching them with pictures. You won't believe how easy the interactive program is. Soon the sentences get a little bigger, and before you know it, you're having simulated conversations voiced by native speakers. And because Babbel is crafted by language experts and uses the spaced repetition method, in just 10 to 15 minutes a day, you'll be speaking the language of your choice with real confidence. With Babbel, you can speak a language. Just text EXPLORE to 64,000 and start your first lesson in the language of your choice for free. Download the Babbel app or text EXPLORE to 64,000 and try it for free. Text EXPLORE to 64,000.
Hey y'all, Jeff Foxworthy here. Now, if you've ever found yourself repeating the same thing over and over for 75 years, you might be Smokey Bear.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
That's why I'm filling in for Smokey to switch things up, because there's a lot more to say. And I should know because my grandfather was a firefighter. And one of the things he taught me is that the people that love the outdoors the most are often the ones accidentally starting wildfires, which means always BYOB. No, bring your own bucket to the campfire. And be extra careful with things like burning yard trimmings. Don't just walk away, or chances are you might be starting a wildfire. So for the love of the outdoors, go to SmokeyBear.com to learn more about wildfire prevention. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Are you interested in...
Like what you're listening to? Want to make getting back to it easier? Use the favorite button to keep track of the stations and podcasts you love on TuneIn. Just tap or click the heart icon to add it to your favorites. Then find all your go-to audio under the Favorites tab. Pretty easy, right?
It's TuneIn Sports on this day. March 26, 1979, Michigan State beats Indiana State for the national championship, featuring the first of many Magic Johnson and Larry Bird legendary matchups.
And all over, Michigan State University, national champions 1979. But only one can make it. And Larry Bird, a great
To listen to conversations breaking down the moments just like this, click on Sports to be part of the discussion on TuneIn.
You love TuneIn for live breaking news from CNN, MSNBC, Fox, CNBC, and more. But when you can't catch your favorite show as it airs, it might just be a click away as a podcast. Search your favorite news station to explore all the on-demand news shows on TuneIn.
This week on the New Yorker Radio Hour, we're taking a deep look at the way the coronavirus pandemic has rippled through every aspect of our lives, seemingly in a matter of days and weeks. Whether you're working from home, not working, or have to go to work, COVID-19 has changed everything. Listen to this episode of the New Yorker Radio Hour on TuneIn today.
Pets Frankie and Chance. Say hi, guys. When I adopted them, I discovered that they both have incredible personalities. Chance's sole purpose in life is to love and to be loved. Frankie is a little bit of a scoundrel and always entertaining. They're a little bit of a lot of things, but they're all pure love. Adopt pure love at theshelterpetproject.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council, the Humane Society of the United States, and Maddie's Fund.
Asset managers who seize change to launch new strategies, add distribution channels, or exploit new technology to re-engineer the investor experience are often rewarded. However, in an industry paralyzed with complexity, few act with agility or decisively. Few run their businesses strategically. Yet the most competitive managers in the market know with the right partner and a flexible operating system, you can. Go boldly toward change with SCI Investment Manager Services.
Determination and operational strength are both essential factors for growth in asset management. I'm
Steve Meyer, President and Head of SEI's Investment Manager Services Division. We know that disruptive forces create opportunities around the world. If you see potential in change, our industry specialists will maximize SEI's integrated platform of data and risk management, global investment operations, compliance support, and investor services to position your asset management business for success. Come grow with us.
With SEI Investment Manager Services, you lead the charge in a competitive marketplace. Learn more at SEIC.com/C's change.
Business is constantly evolving. Is your financial printer evolving to keep ahead of the curve? At Command Financial, we are redefining financial printing by providing industry-leading expertise, leveraging technology, and honing processes and best practices. Every day, Command helps SEC registrants, as well as members of their working groups, including securities attorneys and investment bankers, prepare, file, and disseminate regulatory and disclosure documents, such as registration statements, M&A documents, and mutual fund prospectuses and reports. Command provides a full range of services to help you effectively complete your deal, meet your disclosure requirements, and achieve your shareholder communications objectives. Visit our website at commandfinancial.com and learn how we're evolving, not only with the times, but also with your business requirements. Command Financial, redefining financial printing.
Markets, headlines, and breaking news 24 hours a day at Bloomberg.com, the Bloomberg Business app, and on Quick Take by Bloomberg. This is a Bloomberg Business Flash.
From Bloomberg World Headquarters, I'm Charlie Pellet. Stock surge. This update brought to you by Withum, a forward-thinking, technology-driven advisory and accounting firm helping clients be in a position of strength in today's modern business landscape. Visit Withum.com to learn more. Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin says, quote, "We will do everything we can working with regulators and exchanges to make sure that markets stay open." His comments coming at an open session of the Financial Stability Oversight Council. After the bell, Lululemon Athletica reported an acceleration of sales growth in the latest quarter. It refrained, though, from offering an outlook for the current year because of the uncertainty caused by the coronavirus. We've got shares of Lululemon down now by 2%. The S&P 500 index managed to make it 3 in a row, up another 154 points to 2630, a gain of 6.2%. The Dow rallied 1,351, a gain there of 6.4%. NASDAQ also surging 413 points, up today by 5.6%. A lot of those gains coming in the final few minutes of trading. 10-year up 7/32 with a yield of 0.83%. Gold up 0.8%, 16.29 the ounce. Crude West Texas Intermediate down 5.2%. I'm Charlie Pellet. That is a Bloomberg Business Flash.
All right, Charlie, thank you so much. You are listening to Bloomberg Business Week. Jason Kelly and Carol Masser. And I did want to take another look. Charlie mentioned it a second ago at Lululemon coming out with their numbers, not offering a full year forecast. That's not shocking, just because you don't expect any company to give something, at least something that could be believable at this point. This is a retail business. They have scaled back. We've reported this. They've scaled back the hours and they've closed some stores, and also they have, limited the interaction. They're leaning heavily on a re-energized and rebuilt over the past few years e-commerce offering to get to their customers. Lulu obviously has been a very, very good performer. The stock has been over the past few years. Carol?
Stock just down about 1.4% here in the after hours, but it is talking about its China business getting stronger, and that it does have a strong balance sheet to weather the crisis. All right, let's find out about another industry that has certainly had a tough time here. And we're talking about the travel and hospitality industry specifically. Back with us is Axel Hefer. He is CEO of the online travel platform Trivago, joining us right now on the phone from Germany. Axel, so nice to have you back with us. We caught up with you in late February. We did talk about the impact of the virus, but we are in a very different situation. Here we are a month later. You're a global company of workers all over the place. You operate all over the world. Tell us, first of all, I hope you and your family are doing okay, your workers. How's everybody doing?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it feels like a century ago, to be honest. To start with the most important, I mean, obviously the situation has significantly deteriorated. in Europe, but really all around the world. And we have a very global workforce, so we have a lot of affected friends and family in the company that are living in areas that are completely locked down, that are severely affected. We as a company have moved to home office operation as pretty much every company a few weeks ago, and are so far okay, and nobody in the company has been affected. But yeah, the situation is pretty dramatic in a lot of regions, in particular around Europe.
Well, and Axel, as Carol alluded to, I mean, you have a window like almost no one else into the travel industry. I mean, this industry has been absolutely, for the moment, just brought to a standstill. What does that look like from where you sit?
I think the most important thing is to think about what is actually right. And in the current situation, and by now I think that's pretty much clear to all the Western leaders, the right thing is not to travel, but to actually not move and have as little contact as possible. So we also communicated that to our users, that they should actually not travel if they don't have to. And obviously in times like that, there shouldn't be any travel activity unless it's absolutely necessary, and that's also what you would expect. And so yeah, I mean that is obviously affecting the business, but that's okay in times like this. I mean, everybody has to sacrifice to really get it under control.
All right, Axel, hold on for just a moment. We do have to take everyone to New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio giving an update on the virus situation in New York City. Let's listen
in. Day by day, hour by hour, we find new challenges, we find new solutions, and of course we find the extraordinary efforts of New Yorkers to address this crisis. There is a lot more to do, and especially in terms of our federal government, a lot more to do. But I can at least say that we see on many, many fronts help coming in. I'll talk about, of course, what happened in Washington yesterday with the stimulus bill. Many forms of help, but also immense challenges that we're facing. There's just nothing we've been through that could possibly compare to what we're experiencing now and where we're going. And it will be a long, tough fight. And I'm going to keep saying that because I know there are a lot of voices out there trying to act like we can turn the page soon. I just don't believe that's true. And I don't think it's helpful for people to be given false hope. I want to give people real hope. Real hope comes from the extraordinary commitment and hard work of our healthcare workers and our first responders and all the people who are protecting us right now. Real hope comes from resiliency of New Yorkers. Real hope comes from real support every time a ventilator arrives. Every time we get more supplies we need, every time the military comes to help us. Those are the causes for me for real hope. But it's going to be a long, tough fight, and we're going to be stronger if we understand that than if we try and wish away something that, in fact, we're not able to change entirely right now. Let me talk about the overall situation, and it is continues to be numbers I can barely even comprehend. I know a lot of you feel the same, and they all represent real human beings, real families. Total cases as of this morning in New York City, 21,873, a number that would have been unimaginable just a couple of weeks ago. Deaths in New York City, we've now lost 281 of our fellow New Yorkers to this disease. So we got a tough time ahead. And that's obviously particularly true in our healthcare system. I want to take a moment to talk to all those who are doing extraordinarily valiant work right now all over New York City. Doctors, nurses, all healthcare workers, everyone who works in a hospital, whatever your job is, every single one of you are doing something heroic and really difficult and absolutely necessary to save the lives of your fellow New Yorkers. There's a phrase we use. We say people have gone above and beyond the call. Well, all of you are doing that now in the way that we're going to remember. We're not just going to remember it next week or next month or next year. We're going to remember it for the rest of the history of New York City going forward. It'll be part of a chapter in this city's history that will be unforgettable. That all of you stood up, all of you showed up, all of you gave your all under very, very trying circumstances, because none of us have experienced anything like this, and it came out of nowhere. So I want to say on behalf of all 8.6 million New Yorkers, a thank you to all our healthcare workers, and not only our gratitude, not only our words, but our deeds. That's what we should show our thanks through. You deserve, and you must have, and you will have the supplies you need. One way or another, we're going to get them to you every day. It will not be easy, and we absolutely must get federal help if we're going to be able to sustain this. But my commitment is, if it is available anywhere in the United States of America and we can get our hands on it, those supplies will get to you immediately to protect you, to allow you to do the life-saving work you're doing.
Tom Key. The happy family of 3 were about to welcome a new member. That's right, they were finally getting a dog.
Buy on eBay, dog bed from £12.
First, they had to make a few adjustments.
Sell white rug.
And prepare the kids for the reality of owning a pet.
Buy biodegradable poop bags from under £6.
Everyone instantly fell in love with Little Rocky. Unfortunately, Little Rocky fell in love with a cushion. Buy, sell, eBay.
Delivery costs may apply.
It's Tune In Sports on this day. March 26, 1979, Michigan State beats Indiana State for the national championship, featuring the first of many Magic Johnson and Larry Bird legendary matches.
It's all over. Michigan State University, national champions, 1979. But only one can make it. And Larry Bird, a great
To listen to conversations breaking down the moments just like this, click on sports to be part of the discussion on TuneIn.
On this week's On the Media, for years, U.S. preppers have invested time and money getting ready to tackle imaginary doomsday scenarios. So
you can't make up a story anymore. It doesn't work. We've got coronavirus, and it's not hypothetical. It's actually happening.
don't miss this week's On the Media from WNYC. Listen to the On the Media podcast from WNYC Studios on TuneIn today.
You love TuneIn for live breaking news from CNN, MSNBC, Fox, CNBC, and more. But when you can't catch your favorite show as it airs, it might just be a click away as a podcast. Search your favorite news station to explore all the on-demand news shows on TuneIn.
Want to know a quick, easy way to see if your favorite podcasts have a new episode available? Just go to the home screen on your TuneIn app and see the latest editions under the Your New Episode section. Happy listening.
24 hours a day at Bloomberg.com, on the Bloomberg Business app, and on Quick Take by Bloomberg. This is Bloomberg Radio.
Have whatever they need at any given point in time. If we have it, it will get to you. We also sent today to Elmhurst Hospital 56 additional staff members to deal with the challenges that they're facing. And again, we will keep adding as needed. We have to make sure that the really, really hardworking doctors, nurses, all the healthcare workers who have dealt with a sudden surge, we need to give them a break as quickly as possible. We need to bring additional folks in to give them, to spell them, to give them a chance to catch up, catch their breath, get a little downtime so they'll be able to continue on going forward. So it's crucial that we get more and more support into Elmhurst, and we will do that. So in terms of our entire healthcare system, public and voluntary, nonprofit, the whole picture, look, before the coronavirus came to New York City, we basically had 20,000 hospital beds with everything that was needed, all the staffing, the equipment, everything that you would need to fully attend to a patient in a hospital bed. That number about 20,000. Once upon a time, and once upon a time was only weeks ago, that was a really big number, and that was certainly sufficient to handle the demand every day in New York City. In fact, people used to talk about there were too many hospital beds in New York City. Well, that 20,000 number that once seemed so impressive, now it's only a part of what we need to deal with the coronavirus. Our goal is to triple the number of hospital beds in this city by May. Now, that's an extraordinarily difficult goal. I am not going to look you in the eye and tell you I can guarantee you we will get there, because we have so many challenges. The bed, again, is only one part of the challenge. Location is only one part of the challenge. We need the equipment, we need the supplies, and we need the highly trained personnel. All of that we're working on simultaneously. And this is where the federal government, again, could be absolutely crucial. And I've been very clear about what could be done on the federal level that could affect that entire equation in our favor, particularly when it comes to things like personnel. The reality is we have a very, very difficult goal to reach, but it is our goal, and we will every single day work to achieve it. The surge plans that the state put forward, asking every hospital in the city to increase capacity, I think was a very good strategy. We'll add at least 7,000 beds quickly. And that's a crucial part of what we need to do. We've obviously, in addition to what could be done in hospitals, it is crucial to find new locations, either facilities that are healthcare related where we can put in more beds, or facilities that weren't healthcare at all, but where we can now create crucial new capacity. So those new locations in places like Kohler Hospital, part of Health and Hospital System, Javits Center, obviously a convention center, had nothing to do with healthcare. Now it does. And the federal government, FEMA, state of New York are playing a leading role there to get that up and running. With the surges in the hospitals, with the additional beds outside the hospitals, that gets us to almost 34,000 beds compared to the 20,000 we had just weeks ago. That is a very, very important start in addressing this crisis. But as I said, my goal is to get us to not just 34,000, but then to 40,000, to 50,000, ultimately to 60,000 if we can get there. And if this crisis continues to build the way we think it will. I would love nothing more, and I know you would love nothing more, than to find out, in fact, we got some relief from this crisis, and the numbers got better, and the human misery got reduced, and there were fewer and fewer cases. That day comes, maybe we won't need 60,000 hospitals, but I cannot depend on maybe. I have to prepare this city for the toughest scenario, and that's what we're doing right now. On supplies, look, there's nothing more important than ventilators. We've all talked about this. I really didn't know a lot about ventilators a month ago. Now I know something at least. I've realized that a ventilator, it's, we could put one right here on this desk. It goes in a packet that's about the size of a suitcase, but it is a lifesaver. As simple as that. If you have a ventilator, you can save a life. You can keep someone going, get them through this crisis so they can recover. If you don't have a ventilator, people die who didn't need to die. It's as simple as that. This is one of the most important pieces in this whole puzzle, getting enough ventilators, getting them quick. 500 have come in through our efforts working with the White House, working directly with the administration to get immediate.
So you've been listening to New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio on an update on the situation in New York City. We'll continue to monitor it and, of course, bring you headlines as they are known. We do want to go back to our conversation. With us is Axel Hefer. He's Chief Executive Officer of Trivago, on the phone from Germany. And Axel, before we stepped away for a moment to listen to Mayor de Blasio, you had talked about family, friends, and workers. I do think, as Jason mentioned earlier, you have this incredible kind of view of the world. As you look at it, what are you seeing in terms of different geographies when it comes to the virus impact?
Yes, I think in a certain way, in all the Western economies, or pretty much all the Western economies, the governments have decided to slow down the virus by shutting down pretty much the daily life, and that obviously has a huge impact on travel activity. I mean, nobody should travel, nobody wants to travel, nobody is allowed to travel unless absolutely necessary. In Asia, there are some countries where the shutdown or the lockdown seems to have had a positive impact, and where things seem to normalize to a certain extent, but overall, from a travel perspective, I think it's still too early to tell. I think it will be very important to think about our travelers, not only right now where everybody is really sitting at home and would like to be out there if things would have normalized, but more at 1 or 2 months in the future when people will have had a lot of indoor activity or will have been locked down into their apartment in certain areas without even being allowed to leave the apartment other than going to the supermarket. And that's really what is driving us as a business to think about that moment in time when we can actually help travelers. And right now we can only help travelers by not encouraging anybody to travel, but to just try to stay disciplined, to really slow down the spreading as much as we can.
Mm-hmm. And so, Axel, we've been posing this question to a lot of experts we've been speaking with, and that is, working under the assumption, which I think we all should, that this will abate and we will get our arms around it and there will be a peak and a recovery and all of those things. What do you think, we posed this question to a university president just a few minutes ago, what do you think changes about the business of travel in the aftermath of this?
I think it's fair to assume that the whole industry will be a different one. To what extent the user behavior will change, I think in the short term it will change. It's likely that initially, and particularly in times of uncertainty where the virus is under control in one country and perhaps not another, or in one region not in the other, and that will only